I'm Judge Hazel from over at the City Court. I've been at the court. I got my 5-year certificate today, and that means I worked at the city for 5.5 years. It only took them 6 months to get me the certificate. So I was glad to get it. I came from the city of Mesa, where I was the judge for 6 years before that. And before that, I was the judge in Gila County, as well as the county attorney in Gila County. Before that, I was a criminal defense attorney for 10 years and a prosecutor before that. So I've been a lawyer for, in a year or so, it'll be 30 years. What does the city court do? Very simply, it handles misdemeanor charges. What is a misdemeanor? It's the lower offense of crime in the state of Arizona. There's felonies like murder, kidnapping, armed robbery, that type of thing. And then there's misdemeanors, which are DUI, domestic violence, assault. Shoplifting is very popular right now at Walmart. We get about a case or two a day from Walmart. And what we do is we hear those cases. The way we do that is you saw a police officer come in here. They will arrest people, bring them to the jail that's at the police department, in the back of the police department, which we're redesigning right now. And I will then see them in the morning. Every day at 8:15, I see people who were arrested the night before. That's why I asked the officer if it was busy already today. And he said, yes, you already have a bunch of people in jail for tomorrow morning. So every day at 8:15, I see somebody. And it depends on how many it is, how many they've arrested, the situation, and what's going on. On a rare occasion, they have no one, but it's pretty rare. It doesn't happen that often, so I'm always at work by 7 every day. We have court 7:30 to 5:30 Monday through Thursday. Well, that's when the building is open. Our busy court times are Tuesday and Wednesdays. We're basically in court all day long with people who are coming in for their various court appearances. And we see them and talk to them about their different courts, and they can be punished or they can be let go or whatever, but the prosecutor usually works out some type of an agreement with them, and if they don't, we have a trial. We usually do those on Thursdays. And so we're pretty busy over there.
How many go to trial?
The other things we do at the court, we issue protective orders. If someone's having a domestic dispute, then they will come in and ask us to issue an order that the person can't contact them. We hear what they have to say, and then we decide whether that should be issued. If it is issued, then the person who it's set against has a right to come in and ask for a hearing. And so we do a lot of those hearings on Thursday and also on Mondays. We have a bunch coming up. We've been really busy with that activity lately. The other thing that we handle is traffic tickets. When people receive tickets from the Apache Junction Police Department, they come in and they come to court with us. The cases we hear only are the ones that happen in the city of Apache Junction. So in Pinal County, we have several different courts. We have the city court that only hears things within the city, that happen within the city. Now, a protective order, anybody can come throughout the state and come to us and get one. So we have a lot of people come from Pinal County because they get lost and they come to our courthouse versus their justice court. Then there's the justice court, which is where MVD is. They handle misdemeanors that happen in the county precinct of the Justice Court, which goes all the way down into Santan Valley in that area. And we don't have that much interaction. And then felonies are handled down in Florence, where the county courthouse is. See, the good thing we do is we do weddings. That's one of the happy things we do. I mention that when I go to public meetings. We do that at no charge, so if you know anybody that wants to get married, they can call the court, make arrangements, as long as they do it between 7:30 and 5:30, yes?
But they have to go to Florence for the divorce, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's the next day.
Yeah, that's the next day, that's right. And there is no, you have to buy the license, but we don't charge a fee at the city, we do it. State law says we should not charge a fee, and I don't do it outside of work time, so there's never a fee. So we just work it into the court time. All court hearings are open to the public. In Superior Court, there are certain proceedings that are closed, juvenile proceedings and child dependency proceedings. But in our court, anybody is welcome anytime. And I always make sure people are welcome. Anybody can come and observe court whenever they want. It's an open proceeding, and you're welcome to come and see how the court operates. Tuesdays we do pretrials of people who are not in jail. Wednesday we do people that are in jail. And so those are busy times in the morning, and then Thursdays we do our trials. But you know, we are busy that way. The City Council determines my salary. Thank you, Councilmember Eck. He was one of the ones that hired me, so I appreciate that. It's a paid position, and yes, and it's a full-time position. Some smaller cities, they do not have full-time judges. In our city, where I have to be there 7 days a week, I'm generally at the courthouse by 6 in the morning. I run my kid to school at 7, back by 8, and whatever time I get to leave, usually by 6. So, and then I'm there 7 to 9, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at least. So, you know, it's whatever it is. It's I live close by, so it's not a big deal. Plus, the police will call me in the middle of the night to get a search warrant for somebody when they feel it's necessary. So, no, that's no problem. That's why I sleep on my phone. A lot of people ask us about the fines we collect. What happens to the money? First of all, the court system is not in the business of making money. We don't look at the people and say, sorry. I think she threw that down because she didn't believe me, but she's never come to court in front of me, so no. Constance is a wonderful person. But there is a standard amount on parking tickets, speeding tickets, things like that. The county has a set-wide schedule. We follow that, so it's $217 for a fine or whatever. A lot of people will think, oh, the city gets all that money. They really don't. Like on a DUI case, the normal fine is $1,648.89. Of all that money, the city gets $250 once it's paid. The rest of the money goes to the state. So each month we send a check to the state in roughly amount of $30,000. And you'll say, what do they do for that? That's just the legislature, that's their take of it. So the court can never be a money-making thing because at least half of our revenue goes right to the state immediately. We send them a check every month. We deposit it every night. The money comes in. We take it over to the finance department. It's deposited. A report is generated that says where all the money goes, and then we write them a check at the end of the month, and it goes to them. So you know, that's where the fines go, and other things happen that way too. So a lot of times people will say, well, the city's in the business of making money on tickets or whatever. Our city is not in that business. I can tell you because I've worked in other cities where that was more of a priority. It is not the priority in this city. Our police chief is not saying, well, we need to write 8,000 tickets and make a lot of money. That's this, because fundamentally the money would not come to us. It would be distributed to the state. One of the things that I did, and these nice folks that are associated with the food bank asked me that question. One of the things that I got when I started here at the City of Apache Junction, the council was nice enough to let me begin what's called a city work crew, where people who owe money to the city can work off their fines doing work for the city. Because my view is if you commit a crime against the people of City of Apache Junction, you should pay it back to the people of City of Apache Junction. It shouldn't be at some other place. Now, we do direct people over to the food bank, good, worthy organizations that are really providing a benefit. But we started that program through a grant where we got a federal stimulus grant on that program. I think it was 2009 when they started it, and we were able to fund a person to help us with that program. City Council was nice enough to extend that person's work after the grant ran out last year. On average, we do between 800 and 1,000 hours a month of community service. People work off their fines. And these are not people who have lots of money and they just say, well, I don't want to pay it. These are people that generally just don't have any money. And that's the ones, I mean, it's hard to tell, but we have a collection system where we run credit reports and things and trying to find out if people could really pay their fine, because if they can, they should pay it. But these are people that generally can't. And what would happen in other cities, like the city of Phoenix, where I was a pro tem judge there for many years. Nancy would come to court and she hadn't paid $2,000 on her fine. She just said, the heck with it, or I'm not interested in it, whatever, I got other things going. She's driving around with Chester and the police stop him and say, well, Chester, you're good, you don't have anything, but what about this lady next to you? And they would get her license and run it. Say, well, you have a warrant, you need to come with us. She'd come and see me in the jail, and I'd say, well, you owe $2,000. Do you have the money to pay it? You'd say, no, I don't. No. And then I'd say, okay, you're going to do 20 days in jail, and then your case is over, your fine is paid. And that's the end of the case. It costs the city about $100 a day to keep somebody in jail. So City of Phoenix is big enough, they can afford to do that. They can pay Maricopa County $2,000 to keep somebody in jail for that 20 days, and they can wipe out a $2,000 fine. So the real cost is $4,000. And you can see how that would be very costly over hundreds of cases. The city of Apache Junction just doesn't have that kind of money. We just don't. You know, some people could disagree and say, well, the city has more money than they know what to do with, but they don't. And so we have to be very cautious about that and thoughtful about that. So people will come to me all the time and say, Judge, how many days are you going to give me just to serve out this thing? I don't want to do anything. So we can't afford to do that here. We just cannot afford to do that. You need to take responsibility for this case.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I've been in office just over a year, and I'm the recorder and also the elections director for Pinal County. And there are some recorders that have elections reporting to them, notably Maricopa County, Yavapai County, Coconino County. And by combining the reporting function of elections under me, we were able to streamline some of the functions and take advantage of staff that when they have downtime during election, we're able to redeploy some of them into the recorder side and also in voter registration. So I'm just going to talk a little bit overview of the two main functions, recording, and under recorder's office is also voter registration, and then of course elections operations. So just overall for my budget, it's just over $3.1 million, and that includes recorder's surcharge. We do charge fees to record documents in the county, so we do take in quite a lot of fees, and some of that money goes into my budget. Some of it goes back to the general fund, to the county, and to my general fund budget. And then elections operations, we do get some revenue if we have what we call intergovernmental agreement, where we do elections operations services, say for a school board district or someone, a special district that wants to have an election based on their particular issue, whether it's a school bond issue or it could be before it was cities and towns where they had their mayoral and city council races, but now beginning this year, there's a new law, it's the consolidated elections. So we no longer have the cities and towns having their elections in March and May. They will now be combined with the other elections in August when we have our primary, and in November when we have the general election. So it may end up costing some of the cities and towns a little bit less because we have to put on an election anyway, and we'll just have their candidates on our ballot and we'll just kind of charge them an incremental fee. But however, you know, because their elections are usually nonpartisan, there's a little bit of controversy about that, but we will be offering a different ballot style for independents and people who are not registered in a party, who don't want to vote for, let's say, legislature or governor. They just, you know, say, I'm an independent and I just want to vote for the mayor and for the city council. So they can select what we call a nonpartisan ballot for those cities. The overall organization reporting to me, I have, as I said, administrative, recording, and voter registration services. I have 18 positions currently filled in the recorder's office, and the statute that covers my office is in Title 11. I would say overall the number of laws between elections, which is Title 16, and Title 19, which has some of the special districts. I think at some points we said there's about 357 different laws that cover my office. And that includes everything from election certification and training, and most of my staff, including myself, we just went through election certification training and certified by the Secretary of State, so that we all in every county kind of perform and put on elections in the same way from county to county, and that way there is consistency in how we operate. The purpose of the County Recorder's Office, we are a service to property owners and to title companies, And the purpose of that is to be the official record for your property. So it is forever verifiable that you own property in Pinal County. That is real estate property. So we record a lot of different documents, you know, deeds, mortgages, and other documents, wills, trusts, and military discharges per statutes. We have to permanently archive and copy those documents. So right now we have different, what I call media for those documents. We have some historical books that go back to territorial days where everything was handwritten. I think if you have ever come to, I think in the old courthouse, they're going to open up a gallery and we're going to have maybe a couple of the older books on display just so you can see the handwriting. It's really just amazing to see how beautiful that cursive handwriting was back then. And we have, you know, different books of brands for ranchers where they recorded their brand for their particular ranch. And so there's some pretty interesting documents. We did send some to State Archive when I came into office. A lot of the books were down in a basement and they were not in very good shape because the basement was moldy, and you know, we did have someone from State Archives come and examine those books, and they did find pathogens and mold and termites, and they have a way to scientifically remove some of those pathogens and mold in the State Archive, which I have to say, you know, it is open to the public and anybody can go down and tour that facility. And from what I understand, the state of Arizona invested quite a bit of money into that archive library, and it's probably one of the more modern, updated facilities outside of the Library of Congress, where they, you know, preserve obviously millions of documents and records. Right now we have 3 full-service locations. One is just, I guess, a couple blocks south of here in the county complex. So they do provide full service here. We have another full-service office in Casa Grande, and then we have the main recorder's office in Florence. And we are doing extensive document tracking of the traffic that come in, because you know, we want to know if at some point where we might need to put in another satellite office or even a recording kiosk, which Maricopa County has some in a couple of libraries. You know, we're not at that point yet technologically where we could put in a recording kiosk. But what we do track the traffic on who comes into the office and what zip code do they come from. So we can kind of see, you know, where people are going to record their documents. However, most documents now are not recorded by citizens walking in. They're what we call e-recorded from the title companies. They use e-recording partners. Right now we have 2. We met today with another partner that's located down in Pima County, and they kind of want to add Pinal County to their portfolio with some of their title companies that want to be able to do e-recording in 3 of the largest counties, which is Pima, Maricopa, and Pinal County, since we're kind of right there between those 2 counties. But we do get a lot of people coming in to do research and questions. This time of year we have, because a lot of Canadians own property here and they're here during the winter, they come in and take care of a lot of their business while they're here. So we do see probably a pickup in traffic around this time of the year. Right now we have on the internet going back to the 1980s, but if you wanted to see something before that, that was on microfiche, probably going back another 20 years, we have microfiche readers in all 3 of our offices. And if you needed research even before that, we can help you find it. And again, if it's at the State Archives, it's open to the public, and you can go down and review at the State Archives anything that we have sent down there. We didn't send everything yet to the state archives, but for protection purposes, you know, things that we kind of tracked, say somebody hasn't asked for a particular book for years and years and years, well, we went ahead and sent that one over to the state archives. Right now, we're averaging between 90 to 110,000 documents per year. It fluctuates. A lot of it, you know, when the recession hit, there was a lot of foreclosures, recordings spiked, people had liens put on their homes, and that has really dropped off. I think in the past couple of months, we've seen about a 30% drop off in traffic, and also because building pretty much came to a halt at that point. And it's starting to pick up a little bit now, but of course recordings are going to lag the housing because they have to be built and then sold before we go ahead and record that mortgage. Again, you know, what I just talked about is that the document image must be not only archived and filmed, and some documents have sensitive information on them. Say if there is a document for whatever reason may have your social security number on it, or some other what is written into the statute, sensitive information, that information can be redacted by you and let us know, well, no, I don't want my social security number on the internet where anybody can see it, and then we can redact that for you. And also for certain people in public office, police officers, judges, anybody who work in an area of, say you're a judge and you don't want somebody, you know, that you knowing your home address, we have a secured website. We can redact your personal information, your family information, and your voter registration information, so your address where you live remains secret. And they would have to have, you know, court order or something before someone can pull that information up and find out where you live. You do have to go to the Superior Court, fill out a piece of paper, and ask the judge to grant that for you. And then, you know, we have a bylaw, it's kept every 6 months. We have to continue to renew that letter and that extension court order, so we can continue to maintain that privacy information for people that, you know, for example, the sheriff or a judge. You know, we have about a couple of dozen people or so that right now have those court orders with my office. So here again is a chart based on 2009, 2008. That was just right after when the economy, you know, was at the boom. I think 2005 and 6, when I moved here, when Santan Valley was built, there was 88,000 homes built over a period of 2 to 3 years. There was a huge amount of volume coming through the office at that point, but now it's kind of dropped off a little bit. And so far for January and February, based year over year from 2012 to 2013, we have seen a 30% drop. So we're really not seeing a pickup yet in recording. So it's kind of down still at this point, but we do expect it to pick up. You know, we talked to the assessor's office, and they've had developers splitting plats and parcels, and so we think that more lots are being sold that plan to be developed, but it will probably be a year or two before all of those homes come onto the market and they're sold, and then we get the mortgages to record at that point, and also, of course, the voter registrations, hopefully, that follow right behind that. One of the other main functions of the recorder's office is the voter registration services, and again, this is all governed by Arizona statutes, Attorney General opinions, because the federal government is, you know, doing something with voter registration, and then we have to abide by that. We do send out voter ID cards. Usually we try to process on a weekly basis within 10 days. We're right now get reports on that. We're updating, and it's not all new registered people because people move and they update we send them a new card. Probably several thousand every other week in the county that we're doing. State voter registration forms, and I brought some voter registration forms, state voter registration form that I'm going to leave over here on the table in case anybody wants to or needs to update your voter registration information. You can fill that out and mail it back to my office. And I also left some forms for the permanent early voter list, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So now we have a situation this year that occurred because of the Supreme Court ruling last year. One of the laws that was passed for the state requires that in order for you to register to vote, you have to, in the state, on a state form, you have to prove that you are a citizen, right? Per the Constitution, you have to be a citizen to vote in this country. Well, the federal government has their own form. And on that form, it doesn't ask you to prove if you're a citizen, it just asks you to sign, yes, I am a citizen. Well, the Supreme Court said we have to take that form. If we cannot now go back and ask somebody, you have to give me your citizenship information. If they don't, we now have to track separately because the Supreme Court said, okay, we don't know 100% for sure that you're a citizen, you just said you were. So in this year's election, they can only vote for federal races. The only federal race on the ballot this year is Congress. So we now have to have and print a separate ballot just for Congress for people that registered to vote on the federal form and did not prove their citizenship, which administratively causes a lot of money to be spent to update and track and report on this entire situation. Now for Pinal County, it's not a very big impact. I think we have less than 24 people. So I wouldn't say, is that going to affect somebody's race? People thinking, well, we have people who may or may not be citizens. We have to notify them that, I'm sorry, we can't ask you to prove it, but you can only get this type of ballot and it's only going to be for Congress. And we have to track that result separately and report on it. So registered voters in Pinal County, it fluctuates with major election cycles, presidential election cycles, so you can kind of see where the voter registration spiked, also probably with people moving in and out of the county. Right now, I think for 2014, we're probably just at over 159,000. We report those statistics on our website, elections home website on the Maine County website. We have a page for elections and for recorders. And since the voters fall under the recorder's website, it's under the recorder's website, not the elections website. So, as far as where are the people registered, we like to say a third, and a third, probably in the county. Republicans, Democrats, Independents Party not registered. I think the Republicans hold about a 7,000 to 8,000 voter advantage over the Democrats, and then slightly behind that are the party not declared and independents at this point. My office and recorder site is early voting. So this is where the permanent early voter list comes in. You have the option in this state to automatically get your ballot mailed to you at your home, and you don't have to go to the polls. So we call this is permanent early voter. Once you sign up, you're on that list. If you go to the poll, you're going to get a provisional ballot because, as far as we know, we mailed you a ballot, and we won't know at that point. It may or may not have come back to us at that point. It could be in the mail. We don't know. So this is very confusing because of all these citizen voter registration drives that go on. A lot of people, they may be filling the form out for you and just have you sign it, and a lot of people don't even know they're on the permanent early voter list. So we tried to pass some legislation to clean that up, saying if you haven't used your early ballot in 2 or 3 election cycles, we were going to take you off the list because we assumed you like to go to the poll. But that caused a huge controversy because it was lumped in with some other election-related bills, and the whole thing is probably going to get repealed, and it may go to the voters. But right now, administratively, we have no way to clean this list up. It costs a lot of money to mail people ballots that never use them, that come back. We get thousands and thousands of ballots returned because of bad addresses. People move, they don't update their voter registration files, they move to another part of town, then they come in on election day, causes a huge problem. Right now, out of the 159,000 so active voters, we have just over 86,000 people on the permanent early voter list. So what we have to do now, and as part of the new elections warehouse that we're planning in Coolidge, I'm going to move early voting with election services, and we're putting in a fireproof vault. So when those ballots come back, I don't have to worry that they're going to get burned up anymore, or that we have to transport them from one site to the other, where early voting is going to verify the signatures on one site, then we have to bundle up the ballots and cart them over to another site and process them and tabulate them and do all the other things. I think the more efficient way, as part of my mission to combine elections and recording, to streamline the process, so the ballots are touched the fewest amount of times necessary, they're safeguarded, and we have the right technology in place and the right audit and controls in place, so we have integrity in elections in Pinal County, and people can be assured that the process works. And yes, your ballot, if you get me your ballot on election night by 7 p.m., we will process your ballot and it will count. So that's the message we want everybody to understand. Elections operation, right now I have 5 positions filled with that. 2 of the staff are also kind of doing some work in voter registration, and we also do voter outreach. We go to a lot of fairs and festivals, and we set up a display and give information out to people. We have voter registration forms. We answer questions where possible. We try to take a laptop with an air card, so if somebody really has a question, we can look up their voter record and let them answer whatever questions they might have regarding their voter history or their voter registration form. A lot of people think, well, we've called you and tried to change our address. We can't take information over the phone. It has to be in writing. It's almost process, just re-register to vote. You can either come get a form, or you can go to servicearizona.com and just register again through the online service, and then we'll just get you a new voter registration form. What does election services? Well, as I said, county candidate. So if you're a county candidate, you're going to come to my office and pull a packet to run for office and get your petitions and signatures. If you're a state candidate, federal candidate, you'd probably go to the Secretary of State's office in Phoenix, and they have the ability to file online, get signatures online. We would like that ability too. We've asked the state legislature to help us with that, because a lot of candidates say, wow, we just want to be able to file online and report our campaign finances online. We do put the campaign finance, we scan those reports and they're online. So if you're a county candidate, or you as a citizen want to know, well, who's donating money to me or to the sheriff or whoever's running countywide, or justice of the peace or constable or somebody like that, you can go and review their report online, and then you're going to know, or if you're the opposition candidate or campaigner, who's helping support that person, where are they getting their money from, because that's transparency and honesty in campaigning. And the Secretary of State also now has the state candidate campaign reports online. So if you want to know, you know, they'll say it's dark money in some cases because of the PACs and so on and so forth, but a lot of that now, then you say, oh, well, this PAC is donating to that campaign. Well, that's all online now, and you can go and review all of that information. We also handle, as I said, jurisdictional elections in Pinal County. We have over 100 jurisdictions, whether they're school board, fire board, electric board, sanitation board. It seems like there's a slew of special districts, and they all have their own elections. In some cases they want us to handle it, in some cases we don't. Again, we're going to have central ballot processing, and then of course we audit and tabulate. You know, so even when the election's done, by law we have to do a hand count sampling of certain polls. Again, citizens come in, volunteers come in, they check all the ballot reports, they hand count and review the ballots by hand and verify that the reports are correct and sign off on that. So, you know, we have observers and citizens there to see every step of the way that there's integrity in the process. In the new building, we're going to have a glass window where the central tabulation system is. People can come in and observe. If you're appointed by your party and or you're a candidate or you're working on a campaign and you want to watch the process, you know, we're going to be more than transparent and open for people to come in and view that process so they have a comfort level that yes, we're counting all the ballots. We sent 10 ballots to the poll, 5 went in the box, we should have 5 left over. And again, you know, that we're going to have people validating and verifying every step of the way that you know, we're squared away and 100% accounted for with all the ballots. Yeah, just to kind of wrap up, again, you know, we are a service to the public, recording elections, voter registration. And we have, you know, information and forms available in all our satellite offices. We're available through our website, through phone number, contact information. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer anything you might want.